Story number 1. I 27 millions facing divorce with my wife F of 2 years, been together for 6, because I pointed out it's not biologically possible our newborn is ours. I at 27, and my wife F just had our son few days ago. We've been living in different countries for about a year because of work, having a long-term relationship. At the start of when we started long-term, our relationship went sour and we separated for a few weeks, no contact. It was me who dumped her. After a few weeks passed, the feelings of regret got a hold of me, and I contacted her and said I want to patch things up and we can save our marriage. It took a bit of convincing, but since we already had a pre-booked holiday in Spain, we agreed to take it. We had a great time, like in the beginning of our relationship. Had sex also, even though it wasn't like it used to be. After the holidays, we flew back to our respective countries. After we got back, I tried convincing her again to work on our relationship, but the nice holiday woman was gone, and she was full of rage for hurting her. In a fit of rage, she said to me over a video call that it's not possible to fix anymore because she had already been with someone else. That broke me completely, and I hung up and didn't speak with her for close to a month. After a month passed, I couldn't resist myself and sent her an email of all my feelings and everything the relationship ever meant to me. She replied and said, "We need to talk." We had a call, and she said she was pregnant. She said it was from holidays. I asked, how do I know it's mine? She said she had lied about being with someone because she wanted to hurt me, and it's up to me if I want to be there for my kid and fix our relationship or not, of course. I do. Even if the cheating part was correct, as long as it's my child, I want to be part of his life. The first ultrasound placed the date of gestation one day before her flight to Spain, and about 4 days before we actually had sex, which was a little worrying, but it was not a red flag at the time. Over the next few months, our relationship got better and we patched things up. I visited once for a few weeks for gender reveal, and we made plans for me to take 2 months off for the delivery. Delivery got closer and I flew over. Everything was fine. We spent the Christmas and New Year enjoying the last stretch of pregnancy, and I tried to support her with best I can. After the birth, when they released us from hospital, I had to take photocopies of the papers that the hospital gave us, and that's when I saw it. My kid's blood type was AB. Both me and my wife are we've been tested, and it's on our ID cards. So unless it's a medical error or super rare case of chimerism, it's not possible. I kept it to myself for a few days, but I was dying inside, and my wife noticed my changed mood. After a while, I couldn't keep brushing her off and tried to explain to her that I saw the papers and is not biologically possible, or it's a medical error. I never directly said the kid is not mine or she cheated. She blew up in rage, kicked me out of our home at midnight in a country I have no one, and said she doesn't want me near her baby and never to see me again. And not to speak to her family either. We haven't been to register the birth yet, and I'm not on the birth certificate yet. Before she kicked me out, I did take samples for a discrete paternity test that I submitted today. I'm not sure I took enough materia for the test, though. I will find out in 10 days. Completely shattered. Was I wrong to doubt my son and ask about it? TLDR. I either blew my marriage over a lab error of blood types and will never see my son, or I will prove that my wife lied, cheated, and used me. Update. So a lot of people have been quick to judge our previous relationship as toxic for the whole duration, and misunderstood some parts of it apparently. So I will give you a quick backstory. We met in Australia 6 years ago, both as foreigners. The relationship developed fast, and in 3 months we were living and loving together. We had arguments, of course, over silly things like who would cook while the other one made the bed, etc., but it was probably the most amazing time of my life. We could talk about everything in a civilized way, even if we didn't agree. It stayed like that until mid-2021. The world was in COVID pandemic, and Australia was the most locked-up place of them all. My wife's aunt, my mill twin sister, passed away from COVID. My wife was always close to her, so she decided to leave pretty much overnight and leave everything behind, including me and the life we had built over the years. I wasn't ready to leave so soon, so I stayed for another 6 months to finish the lease, save money, and sell the things we had and go after her. For clarity, at that moment, it was impossible to re-enter Australia for non-citizens, so her decision was permanent. I love her, so I wrapped my life up and went after her to her home country, Colombia. I'd never been before, and it was a big change for me. Everything from language to culture to family relations was completely new for me. We got married in April. I'd made up my mind about marrying her a year before. I wanted it to be special. After first few months, the excitement faded, and I started realizing that I can't live in Colombia permanently. I just didn't get used to it all. The arguments got stronger, and our relationship dynamic shifted. It got to a point early 2023 that I decided, for partially financial reasons, partially because I was unhappy with where I was living, to go to work in Europe, where I had great professional opportunities and I didn't need any paperwork. The plan was for her to follow after I've settled in, so we didn't plan to stay long-distance relationship. Now we get to the dumping part of our relationship that people are quick to judge me for. And it's true, I did say to her the words, "I don't see a way for both of us to be happy. Let's take some time and we can talk after we've had time." It was after she cut all contact with me for 2 weeks, over a fight we had over stupid things. She just said, "Go live your life and I will live mine," and blocked all channels of contact with me. So yay, in theory I did dump her, but it wasn't an "I am over you bitch, see ya" situation. Now we get to the part of pre-holiday. The silence lasted a few weeks. After that I caved. I missed her. And I can see for some of you the time would mean fucking and drinking. For me it was going to therapy, working and exercising and working on myself internally and digesting what had happened. And the rest of the story takes place as in the original post. A few notes for commentators. Gestational age. Love how you're happy jumping on that one. And yeah, I might be wrong in my terms. Anyway, what I meant was her ovulation, if presumed to be the same as her constant cycle, was a day before we met, and 4 days before we had sex. And yes, I know it's not an exact science, that's why this by itself wasn't a problem for me, and it's also not the core of the story. Why did I confront her, and not just take the paternity test? That's exactly what I planned. I knew she won't agree to paternity testing if I asked her, and to just say I want one would be really strong and would end up in a shit show. I did take one discreetly and planned not to say anything until I have the results. However, that same night she kept begging me to tell her what's wrong and why I'm so thoughtful. I suppose I can't hide when something bothers me. She was calm and lovely, so I said, "I will tell if you promise you won't be angry." So I explained to her that the papers don't match. It's not biologically possible for us to have a baby with that combination. I didn't say she cheated or the kid is not mine. I tried explaining her that it could be a medical error or they could have changed the babies. She wasn't having it and exploded, yelling for me to get out, and that she doesn't want me near her baby, and that I don't believe that the child is mine. I tried explaining that it's possible, and with what she has said to me previously about him having another guy, I can have my doubt. She couldn't see my point of view and demanded that I leave. Why I say she cheated. Because from our first days of relationship, we had an agreement of complete monogamy, and that it would never be forgive her for either if they slept with another for any reason. She also swore after we met on our holiday that she hadn't been with anyone. That's why I took it so hard later on when she confessed in a fit of anger that she did. You can call it what you want, but in our agreement that was cheating. Also, let it be noted that when we decided to work on the relationship and to move past everything, just the cheating, I would have forgiven her for my baby and our future. And some of you were right to point out, the relationship has been toxic at times, especially over the last 2 years when our circumstances and situations have been in constant change. Don't worry, any of you will come to similar turbulences in your relationships. Not that long ago I didn't expect to be in this situation either, yet here we are. Story number 2. I cheated and cannot forgive myself. Hi guys, I, 20 Fahrenheits, was dating someone who I thought I would marry, 25 millions, up until I got drunk one night and slept with another guy. I told my boyfriend, and he broke up with me, as he should. I must add that we were long distance. We are still friends, and of course I wish we could get back together, but I betrayed him and doubt that will happen. After I cheated, I was shocked by my own actions. I have been cheated on multiple times, and it was one of those things that I said I would never do. I also want to add that freshman year of college I was into hookup culture, which is another deep regret of mine. Before going into college, I had this boyfriend that cheated on me and RP3'd me, and I never told anyone. A lot of other things happened prior, and I never told anyone. After I cheated, I realized that I was never fully happy by myself and never healed from people that broke my heart and betrayed me. Anyways, right now, I am having a very hard forgiving myself and coping with the guilt, shame, and regret. I read the Bible and immediately wish I read it earlier because I find it is so important in living the life I should be living, and it is also very important for successful relationships. I am also in therapy now. I can't right my wrong, but I can grow as a human. I am so ashamed of my past and am struggling with it big time. I'm going celibate until I find a guy that I want to spend my life with. My ex and I began as FWB, which I also think was a bad call, especially after reading about the power of lust. At the end of the day, I still want a loving and successful family. Will my future husband be able to forgive me for my past? I also want to add that I had friends who lied to me and that cheated on their significant others. I would give them the benefit of the doubt and say, well, I know they have a good heart. Those friends are not in my life anymore. I also had friends that were happy I cheated because they thought my boyfriend was holding me back. He wasn't holding me back. I was holding myself back and did not know how to grow in a relationship and be my best self. I also cut out those friends. I would love some advice on getting past this, because what I did was wrong. My ex had cheated a long time ago before we had met, so I know it doesn't define someone's character, but regardless, I feel like it does define me because I'm 20. I talked to a psychiatrist, and she told me I don't have a personality disorder. I spent a long time reading about BPD and NPD. She told me to focus on my health and to not use alcoholic beverages or weed. My therapist definitely mentioned low self-esteem and depression, which is something I was always aware of but never sought help for. I want to become a new person, a better person. I didn't realize how much I truly lost myself and identity until I stooped so low and cheated. Story number 3. Girlfriend says it didn't go any further. She booked an Airbnb to hang out with a friend. I trusted her judge in character and friend and that nothing would happen. First night I got no response to a goodnight text. Apologies sent the next morning saying they were up late watching movies and didn't see my text. LOL. Second day, kept in touch, nothing weird. Third day, she returns and is acting strange. I press and she reveals he made a move and tried to kiss her. She says she declined. Later on, I say I don't believe that's all that happened. After a long pause, she says he offered a massage, which she accepted, and the kiss was attempted after. She claims she thought it was an innocent exchange of energy and that it wouldn't turn sexual. This happened on the first night. Didn't text me back saying goodnight after her friend made a move. Continued to spend the next day with said friend and grab brunch and spend the night again. Then returned home the third day without any notice. As I type it out, I believe her less and less. She has been extra sexually pleasing and generally kind and bubbly. Nothing adds up. I wish she had just said they had sex so I could have a final answer and not have all these questions. I don't know what I'm expecting from posting this. Story number 4. My husband had cheated on me but still wants to be friends with his ape. My 42 husband and 44 and I have been together for over 20 years and have small children. Just over 3 months ago, he confessed to having an affair with a close friend of his. It was someone he has known for many years, about the same length of time that he has known me. The affair lasted almost 2 years, but I imagine that perhaps there was emotional cheating going on beforehand for goodness knows how long. His plan was to leave our marriage. After he told me about the affair, he also shared the details of it with his parents, friends, even his colleagues at work. He had made plans to leave, going as far as signing a lease for a place and paying upfront a year's worth of rent, money he was able to get access to by remortgaging our home. He was fully set on starting a new life. I urged him to stay and give our marriage, our relationship of January 20th, 2024, a chance. It took a lot of work convincing him, but he ended up deciding to stay. Since making his decision, he cut off contact with his AP. He's been no contact since. This was about 12 weeks ago. He hasn't deleted her number. He hasn't stopped following her on various social media platforms, but the communication with her has ended. The reason why I know this for sure is because of the radical honesty he demonstrates in marriage counseling. He talks openly and candidly about her in our sessions to the point where I find it triggering. It is like a dagger to my heart, but we both understand that open communication is going to be important when it comes to rebuilding our marriage. Although he needed to be convinced to stay, I can see he is committed to rebuilding our marriage. He wants it as much as I do. Something that he has brought up earlier on in our sessions and brought up again very recently is his desire to have a friendship with his ape. He says because they were friends prior to cheating, he would like for them to still have a friendship. I have said I'm not comfortable with that. I said it the first time he made that suggestion, and he brought it up again just a few days ago. I am worried how this might impact our marriage if he is permanently cut off from her, and I am unsure on what to do. Story number 5. I was in the mandatory military service, and a guy from my platoon got a 3 days of leave, permission for participating to a wedding of a friend. He was from a very tiny town right nearby the border, while I was from the same geographical and cultural region. This is important because I have left my sweetheart at home. She was still in high school. And I found out that her sister is getting married. Guess where? Same tiny town. Sue. My platoon colleague comes back from the leave and he started telling us how the wedding went. This was such and such. The party was so and so. Lots of food, drinks, and joy. Nice, not. Well. The brother of the groom had his best time because he was fucking countless times the sister of the bride. Well, at this point, I was hoping that there were 2 weddings in that town in that weekend. Somehow I knew that I was getting drunk by drinking tap water, but the hope dies last, right? I couldn't ask for her name, because no one there knew about my private life with my girlfriend. However, I asked for the groom's name, and the very first time I was allowed to go outside the military base. I called my mom and asked her to give a phone call to my GF and ask her about the wedding. How was it? Etc. and ask for the groom's name. I haven't had to wait much. Mom called me at the base. We could receive phones. And guess what? It turned out that there weren't 2 weddings. Just one. Next thing, I asked my guy the name of the groom's brother, and he offered it to me without asking why. Anyways, I used that name in the next and last discussion I had with my GF, face to face, when I told her that I knew all about her and X, and this is why we are parting ways. She was about to faint. This happened when flat screens, mobile phones, pagers, internet were to be found in SF literature, and while I was deployed hundreds of kilometers away from where we were living and from the tiny town, Providence didn't let me and I just dodged a nuke. Thank you, God. Story number 6. My girlfriend, F22, cheated on me, M23, so I locked her phone. Did I do the right thing? I am N23, and my girlfriend, F, cheated on me with her ex. We had a small argument about how much I do for her, and if I start telling what all I did for her, it will be a lot. And she made it like I am a bad person as I say what I do to her. She is financially very weak, so I take care of everything in her life. Clothes. Food, gave a Zomato account with my simple wallet, so one-click food for her. Shoes. iPhone. AirPods, her sister's needs headphones. Clothes, etc. Washing machine for her house, you name it, it was on me. So one Saturday, she meets her ex and told me she is just taking a nap, and the same evening fights with me saying I don't let her sleep when I called her at like 8 p.m. and she took a nap at like 3 p.m. Naturally, I was apologetic, but she didn't budge. She blocked me from all places, and I was confused and crying every day to get her back. All this while she was cheating on me. She was in touch with her ex and even slept with him. They abused me in front of my friends. My brother and sister, too. She even got goons who threatened me if I tried contacting her. She went on vacations with that guy, and all this while she is saying, I am giving you a chance that you improve. Be a better person. But she was just cheating on me. I got to know all this when the guy showed me pictures of chats and calls, and to be honest, it all was just too much for me. We had plans for getting married. My parents knew. They were kind of hesitant, but were helpless in front of my stubbornness. Her family really liked me. I was really angry. 2 months later, after this fight, I am crying, contemplating suicide, begging her to come back, being sorry for saying what I said, mentally tortured. By luck, her dad called me for the first time to discuss marriage, and I just told him everything. Her dad put her in her home for a week and did not allow her to go out. When the other guy got to know about this, rather than supporting her, he left her. She made up a story in front of her dad that I am a bad guy, and she didn't do anything wrong, and hid everything, had proofs of her cheating, the booze, the sex, the vacations, but I decided not to share with her dad. Now I am mentally hurt, and I want revenge. So I blocked her phone, it was paid by me, and put it on lost mode. She even threatens to do police action on me. After the lost mode thing, eek, what is happening? I will ask her to give it back. Am I the asshole here? What should I do now? And the other guy is of a different religion, so they end up marrying is impossible. My GF was in a relationship with this guy in CLG for around 3 years, and then broke it off cause there was no future for them. Then she came in a relationship with me. She used to say that he was physically abusive, used to cheat on her, but still she went back to him. And all this while she gave me false hopes that I am giving you a chance to improve, then we can marry, as marriage with me was favorable due to a number of factors: same religion, good career, good family background. And in 2 months I cried, had sleepless nights, begged her to come back. She didn't care but laughed at me and made fun of me in front of my friends and my brother and sister. Story number 7. 3-way relationship gone bad. Been with my boyfriend for years, and myself. For the past years it was stale because of my depression and mental issues. He decided to open up the relationship with sleeping with other people. At first I didn't have a problem with it. I got jealous with some females he engaged with. Later on I found someone online, N27. We will call them number 1 and number 2. It was an immediate click, and I ended up switching everything where I wanted to pursue a relationship with him. I wasn't clear about my intentions with the boyfriend I lived with and lied and invested my time into number 2 for 2.5 years. Number 1 ended up contacting 2, escalating this problem. I wasn't honest from the start. Number 2 put up with a lot of my insecurities. I even went to go see him in real life. To make a long story short, number 2 ended up dumping me for another girl with a child. He lied about it and found out about it online. She is legally married, separated supposedly from her husband, and I am beyond hurt from this, because I sacrificed so many things to try and live with him. Number 2 made me feel crazy because he always accused me of lying since he knew I lived with number 1. They both would communicate without me doing until it was too late. Because of my depression, I cannot provide. Number 1 sexually, and it is a lot of stress on everyone. In the end, I don't mind number 1 talking to other girls since I cannot fulfill all the needs of a girlfriend. I'm so heartbroken that number 2 did not make me aware and lie he was talking to another girl and block me and everything. Now trying to fix things with number 1, I feel like it is so much worse. I go to work and go home and cry non-stop since number 2 dumped me. I try and distract myself, and number 1 I feel like doesn't rely like the fact that I'm severely depressed and I completely shut down. I never had the closure or happiness I used to feel. I'm not sure how to get over number 2 and act like I'm getting better when around number 1. Although it seemed like I was the one cheated on number 1, it was an open relationship that seemed one-sided. Once I invested in someone, I felt like I lived through hell. I feel more cheated on with 2, and now I don't know how to cope with that breakup. I wanted to say my part and never got to, and I feel no closure and incomplete. Number 1 has put up with all the havoc I've created and grateful for him. Not a lot of people would put up with a situation like that. I want to expose the cheater, number 2, and not have the heart to. Was I the toxic one the whole time? Story number 8. My husband, 39 millions, demanded that I 28 Fahrenheit's reschedule an appointment, and I got frustrated. Should I apologize? Together for 9 years. My husband and I are co-owners of our house. I work full-time, and he's a stay-at-home dad taking care of our 2-year-old. Basically, whenever something breaks in the house, if any type of appointment needs to be made, it falls on me to make the call and schedule things. The only appointments I've seen him schedule are personal doctor's appointments for himself. So I scheduled our duct cleaning, which is badly needed, and I told him it would be next Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. He immediately asked if I would be there, and I replied, no, of course not. That's when I'm working. Basically, he said I have to reschedule it because he wants me to be present for the duct cleaning, and that's also when our 2-year-old takes her nap. I honestly don't see why my presence should be required to just supervise some contractors while they clean our ducts. As for my daughter's nap, I wish I'd thought of that, but I feel like we can still continue with the appointment. I huffed and said, fine, I'll reschedule it, and whenever anything breaks, don't worry, I'll schedule all of those too. It's just irritating that he can't even take the initiative to call the people and reschedule for us. Just rudely tells me I have to do it. Then he got up and left, and he hasn't come back. Should I go find him and try to apologize? Update. Thanks for all the advice, guys. Was not expecting that much. I do want to stick up for my husband, though. He's a very good man. I wouldn't have married him if that was not true. Yes, he does chores and housework. I do want to clarify there absolutely was no molding or grooming with our relationship when we met at community college when I was 19. We got together and dated casually for about 8 months. We actually split up for almost a year and I saw other men. That's what he said he wanted me to do. We ended up reuniting, though, on January 1st. We got snowed in together and I was never happier. We've had our ups and downs over the years, but ultimately we've always worked things out. I was wondering if I should apologize because I want us to be good with each other. He ended up coming back and we've had an excellent evening. I figured I'll bring it up tomorrow and I'm sure we'll come to an understanding.